In this video, I'm going to show you how to add patterns and textures to your lettering using some of the tools that we've already been using, but just in a slightly different way. So to start off, what I'm going to do is, you guys should be familiar with all this, adding shadows, adding outer glows and outlines. We did that using the selection tool up here on the upper right-hand corner, or left-hand corner, excuse me. And we were using some of those selection tools to do that. We're going to use those same tools today, just in a little different way. So to start, what I'm going to do is, so we can see what's going on, I'm going to shut off several of these layers so they are not in our way. Just going to turn them off temporarily. They're still there, they're not deleted. I'm going to add that one back on because I need it. And what I want to do is I want to add a layer of texture over the word graffiti here. So what I'm going to do is, to start off with, I'm going to go ahead and select graffiti, the word graffiti, using the selection tool. So I'm going to use the blob version of it, and I'm going to go ahead and tap blue. Oh, see, now looking at this, the problem is I'm not in the right layer. See that? I'm actually selecting a different layer. So what I want to do, and mistakes are made, that's fine. I go deselect, and I'm going to go back and turn that layer on, and now I can select the blue text. So before I do anything else, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new layer. You see it's blank. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my own texture. I'm going to do it using this tool right here. So it's a series of dots right underneath the spray can. And when you tap on that, what you have is a whole collection of different tips that you can use. When there's a drop, they give you a preview right there, and you can see what happens when you start to change things and edit things. I'm going to reset it. That's what it looks like right out of the gate. If you tap that, drag down that drop down menu, you have a whole series of other things, other kinds of tips that you can choose from. There are some just dots. You see how that changes when you go ahead and you check the preview. So I'll start with just this one right now. And there's all these different things that you can edit and change with that. I'm not going to go through each one. I would encourage you to experiment because they all do some pretty incredible, awesome things. So, and if you ever change anything to the point where you got kind of lost, if you hit reset, it resets it all back to the way it was. So that's that reset button right there. So here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick pink just because I want it to stand out and be bright. So I selected the color pink, and then I'm going to turn it up so it's intense, and then I'm just going to go ahead and spread it across the screen. So now I'm doing this on a new layer there. It says it's layer 21, but you can see I'm starting to add some texture over that. I might go and select another color, maybe purple, and do a mix, a blend. Maybe I'll go and I'll brighten it up by tapping the color palette up in the upper right hand corner, and I'll choose a brighter version of purple and see what happens. Get a mixture going. And this actually works is if you tap the screen, you can apply it one at a time, one area at a time, like I'm doing right here. And you just start building out a texture. Maybe we'll change that and make that a little brighter too. Click into a brighter area in the color palette. Start adding and get this layered effect. So I only put it on half of a letter because I kind of wanted it to blend and all that. It's just strictly your preference. So if I tap around, I could also go and maybe choose a different tip. I'll go with geometric, and I'll pick, let's pick this one. This one's kind of got like a SpongeBob Bikini Bottom kind of feel to it. And I don't know, maybe I'll try something greenish, see if that works. Turn that up a bit. Maybe make it a little smaller. Just adding a combo. The fact that you have that selection line on, what you're doing is you're only telling the iPad you want to add things within that selection area. So that's why you see wherever I tap and I hit anywhere near that selection line, it only fills the inside portion of the lettering, not the background. So you can do that any number of times. If I added another layer, I can turn this one off. So layer 21 I'm turning off by tapping the eyeball next to it. And layer 22 I can go back and I can see what happens just by adding the green in. See if I like this any better. tapping around, tapping around. And maybe I'd go back and add another shape. We'll go with this one. That one's kind of cool. Maybe I'll pick pink again, but I'll lighten it up and make it darker, and I'll just start tapping. Just to see what it looks like. So there. And then you can go back and forth and you can look, well, do I like this one, 21, or do I like layer 22 better? Or do I like both of them? You can do a combo. Strictly up to you. You just get it where you want, where you think it looks good. Okay, so right now though, I want to turn both of those off because I'm going to actually show you another technique. So that's the easy one. The tough one is when you want to go and put a graphic over your letter. So looking on the internet, I went searching for a graphic, a nice black and white graphic, and I found this one here that I like. It's kind of got a spiral. Well, it is a spiral. And we're going to choose this one right here. So I'm going to import that in. Importing things, when you import anything, what you want to do is you want to go File, and you go down to the Import option. So this drop-down menu will open up, and you say Insert it as a layer. You're going to take it from your photo library, and then it'll import it in. So we did that, and this came up, okay? So looking at this, I like this. It's a cool spiral, kind of, kind of trippy and all that stuff. What I'm going to do, though, is I want to make sure that this is centered over my lettering so that the center of the spiral is in the center of my lettering, and it all fits. Now, I can't really see anything because, obviously, it's too dark. It's covering up everything underneath. So what I'm going to do is there's a slider at the top of this menu. Right now it's set for 100%. If I drop that down and lower it, you see that it makes that layer somewhat invisible. That's the opacity slider, right? So then what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and edit this and transform it because I want to move it in a position where the spiral is dead center in the middle of the lettering. And now that I can see through it, I can tell where that's going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and move it like so. I think that looks good. And I'm going to hit apply. So then what I'll do is I'll turn it back up. And what I want to do is I want to apply this over the letters. So that means I'm going to have to delete a lot of it. So what we'll do is to help us with that is we're going to use our graffiti text, the blue graffiti text, as a stencil to make that happen. So what I want to do right now is turn this off so I can see what I'm doing by tapping the eyeball. Then I'm going to go down to layer 4 where my graffiti text is, my blue graffiti text is, and I'm going to use the selection tool to select it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back up to the spiral text, layer 23, it says, and I'm going to turn that back on. Right, so right now, if I did anything, what I would do is I would select only the area in and change only the area inside of that selection line, okay? But that's not what I want to do. If I go ahead and I use the eraser tool, you'll see what I mean. So I'm erasing inside. I want to erase the outside. So I'm going to do is I'm going to hit back to bring it back. And then what I need to do is I need to flip-flop things. So I need to select the background and not the foreground. I need to select the background stuff, image. So I'm going to go to the select menu, and you'll see there underneath this deselect, it says inverse. I'm going to tap that, and what you'll see is you'll see the selection line will not only be around my text, but it'll also be around the outer edge of the screen. So you see how that changed. Now if I come back with the eraser tool and I start to erase, I'm erasing the part of that graphic that's not hovering over my text. So, and there you go. I've selected that. Now, to get rid of the selection line, of course, you always go to the select menu and hit deselect. When you look, you got the text over, it's over your graffiti. What you could do is you could start putting on your other elements to see how that works, maybe the black outline, maybe the white outline, or I do in a combo effect just to see how it all works together. Turn that off, turn that off. You could maybe add back one of these layers and drag it up and over and see what that'll do when you combine the two. Don't know if I like that one. Maybe go bring 21 back up, turn that on, try that. You can use the sliders at any time to drop the opacity down, kind of get like a combo effect where you're seeing both things. So there's a lot you can do here. So right now though, I want to turn that off, right? I'm looking at this and I like the spiral, but I don't really like the color. I kind of want to change the color scheme on it, right? So now that's like anything else that you do in this app. What you can do at this point now is you can use that selection tool and you can pick anything on a layer and you can change it. So I'm going to go back to layer 21 and I want to change this instead of black and white. I want to make it black and we'll go green, bright green. So that's what I'm going to do. Select black, or select, so I'm selecting bright green. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap the white. And you see now it's selected all of the white on that layer. So all the white on layer 23. And now what I can do is I can go back and I can, with the spray can, the line doesn't change, it stays put. I'm going to go ahead and spray paint green. You see, it changes the color. It's like anything else that we've done with that selection tool now. So and you can see it's hovering there. Okay, so you could select the black, you could select the green, you could change it whatever color, or you could even do a two-tone. If we go back and we could do, let's go orange, why not? And we'll do a two-tone kind of gradient, where it's half green, half orange, right? And I'm gonna hit deselect, and it's gone. Okay, so there you got that layer. If you wanted to, you could see what that looks like with the two, layer 23 and 4 combined, right? Because what you want to do is you want to do a lot of combining with this stuff. There's a lot of trial and error. You get in, you try something, you see how it looks, and then decide later if you like it or not. So what we could do is we could change the slider on that and fade it out, right? You could turn one of these other things on and see how that affects it. I don't really like that, so I'm going to turn it off. Trial and error. You're just feeling things out, trying to see how it looks. Or there's this other thing. If you look underneath the layer menu and the word where the word layer is situated, and you tap normal, these are blending modes. And what they do is they control how two layers blend together. Usually under normal circumstances, all the layers, they're all stacked, and layers on top will totally hide anything underneath, okay? So what you could do though is you can change that to see how it affects the overall work. Of course, you got to be in the right layer. So there's no real predicting how that's going to affect things. You got to just try it out and you see how you like it, what it does. When you find a blending mode that you like, keep it. If you don't like this, then go back to normal. This is what normal looks like, just to reiterate. We try that. That's kind of cool. And then what we'll do is we'll go back and we'll turn on everything else just to take a look at how it looks. Okay? So that's putting a graphic over your lettering. Let's turn all that off because there's one last thing I want to show you. So I'm turning all this off again. Just have my blue text. If you wanted to bring a picture in and lay the picture out over your text, you can follow the same process. So you would start by going to the File menu, hitting Import, choosing as a layer, and taking it from your photos. Looking through my camera roll, I have a lot of pictures here. I'm going to choose, I have one up here where it is essentially just flames. Let's see, I'm looking for it. Colorful flames. And I want to lay it, there it is. I'm going to lay that out over my text. Okay, obviously it doesn't fit over everything, and really for this to work, you need your text, you need your lettering to be real thick and chunky. The thicker and the chunkier, the better, because then you're giving it something for the picture to attach to. If your lettering is real thin, this doesn't really work out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and do just like I did with the graphic. I'm going to tone that down so with the opacity slider so I can see what's underneath it. Then I'm going to go to the Edit menu and hit Transform, Move, Scale, Rotate, and I'm going to move that into a position where not only does it fill and cover up the lettering, but it does it in a way where I know that the fire is going to appear exactly where I want it. I kind of want it right there in the middle of my letters. So I'll hit apply. Then I'm going to go ahead and turn that back up, but off. The layer's off. I tap the eyeball, and that's just so I can see what I'm doing. And what I want to do is go back to layer 4 where my graffiti text, the original text is sitting, is located, and then I select the selection tool using the blob, tapping the blue. Gotta jump back up to my photo, my fire photo, right? Again, if I was going to start erasing now, I would be erasing things from that text. That's not what I want. I have to flip it. Just like with the graphic option, you got to go to the select menu and hit inverse, and you'll see the line appear around the outer edge, like so. All right, now what we're doing is we're selecting the background, not the foreground. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead with my eraser tool, and I'm going to erase that background detail. And you'll see now that the photograph appears to be hanging over my text. So there it is, photograph, colorful fire, all over that, right? And then what I can do is I can go back and I can start adding some of these other details I've done after previous, just to get a look at how does that look. Am I satisfied? Am I happy? Does it look good? I might actually even go back and we're just trial and error. I might turn this layer back on, the one with my spiral. I'm going to raise it up and over, turn that on and see. That's kind of cool. Maybe try a different blending mode, screen, dodge, just to see which one works best. It's all about experimentation here. You're just trying out different things, see how they affect. That's pretty cool, kind of like that. Looking at it, it might be a little too intense for me, so maybe what I need to do is get that opacity slider. We're taking layer 23, and all we're going to do is we're going to tone it down, right? Get a good idea out, what it looks like, and then make a decision whether or not we're going to keep it. So we have all these things here, all these things in this file that we can choose later whether we want to keep or we want to get rid of. Obviously, looking at this, your eyes are going to be drawn to the word graffiti a lot faster than awesome because we've added a lot to it. And that's the point, is you want to be noticed. You want that attention. So that's pretty much it for today's demo.